Nisambulu vinaka, ladies and gentlemen. Nisambulu vinaka saka. Bulasia, bulare, volovina nanangutaubu. Sayang vinaka nanguweka maira. Malo ambula vikimni nangol mayonianu. Namaste, salam alaikum, noea e Maori, nisambula vinaka, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor for me to welcome you to our annual National Federation Party Convention. I know we haven't seen many of you for some time thanks to the pandemic, but having so many of you join us here this afternoon is a true honor. And it's a pleasure to see so many faces. I think once again, I'm just going to repeat what Apenisa has been trying to encourage us all to do, which is to invite the gentlemen and the ladies that are sitting under the shades, please, to please come and take your seats in the hall proper, please. Kemni naturang kina marama ni tokambaka may tumbangori sa kereti ko ni durmay loma ni may ndambe mendagay may bakarongoda na nabitalanoa and other tiko na kabinikua. The program today is going to be very, very straightforward. After this, I will be asking us to please rise for the national anthem of Fiji. You will ask you to remain standing for the NFP party prayer and remain standing for a moment's silence as we remember our loved ones who are no longer with us. After that, we will have the garlanding of our special guests this morning, and then I will begin the convention. I will be followed by the party president, Honorable Pio Tikoduadua. There will also be a statement from Mr. Richard Naidu. And then it'll be my honor to ask up on stage the party leader of the People's Alliance Party, Mr. Sitiveni Rabuka. Mr. Sitiveni Rabuka will be followed up here on the podium by the party leader, Honorable Professor Biman Prasad, followed by a vote of thanks by our General Secretary of the party, Ms. Seni Nabou. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome all of you, in particular those of you who have come from our branches, our branch presidents, vice presidents, and also coming from Lambasa, our Vice General Secretary, and all our supporters and party stalwarts. I also want to say thank you very much to members of the media who are here to cover this convention. And I also want to say thank you very, very much in particular to the staff of the Fiji Elections Office who are here in the direction in which I'm pointing here to help you change your voter registration. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask us all now to rise to our feet for the national anthem of Fiji, after which please remain standing for the NFP prayer and a moment's silence. Valelevu.
Oh
the National Federation Party prayer. Almighty God, we, your children who are assembled here, embracing as we do all the major religious faiths of this world, pray that we be granted the strength to work for the unity and welfare of all the people of this land, irrespective of race or color or creed, and grant us the wisdom to treat and consider all matters that come before us without fear, prejudice, or ill will towards anyone, so that we may all join hands to promote thy honor and glory here in our land as in the world at large. I now ask for a moment's silence as we remember our dearly departed. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Vinaka, you may take your seats. I'm going to ask some of our volunteers to please come and garland our special guests. Vinaka. Valelevu. Thank you, young ladies. The party president, Honorable Tikoduadua, Honorable Party Leader, Honorable Professor Biman Prasad, the leader of the People's Alliance Party, Mr. Sitiveni Rabuka, fellow party members, fellow Fijians. A lot has changed since we last met for an annual convention. Our economy is on the slow road to recovery after it was hit by the worst pandemic in a century. We have lost some dear and close friends, and I'd like to give a special mention of our party leaders, our party elders, stalwarts, and members who are no longer here with us. May their souls rest in peace. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I will resist the temptation to turn this valuable opportunity into a rant against the Fiji First Party. Instead, allow me to begin by asking this party, as John Kennedy said, to dedicate every effort of our minds and spirits to lead this party to victory and this nation to greatness. I believe there is nothing greater or more noble a political party can do than to dedicate itself to making this country that we love and live to serve. The truth is, the way to root out darkness is not to complain about the dark. It is to hold up a torch. This is what I intend to do here today. Holding up a torch means making tough decisions. It means doing things that are sometimes unpopular. It means sticking by your principles when all around us people are trading theirs. This party was the first to fight for a common vote for all. We were the first party to recognize that division doesn't empower one group of people over another, it weakens us all. We committed ourselves to the provision of social services to ensure that all our people have equal access to opportunities. We began the process that would eventually lead to the University of the South Pacific. the National Provident Fund, and eventually the independence of our island nation. When our country needed a new constitution, we recognized that a new future for this country means accepting that we do have differences, but not letting them divide us. This is how the 1997 Constitution was born. What I have listed are the achievements of our forefathers and our foremothers, the accolades to a different generation. The question, therefore, dear friends, for this generation of the National Federation Party is, how shall we hold up this torch that we have been passed? How shall the generations of the future speak of us? What shall be NFP's vision for 2022? So permit me a few minutes to speak about this vision. A vision of a kind of country we want to build and what kind of future we want to give to our children. A vision of unity, a vision of hope, a vision of moving onward together. This, I believe, should be at the front and center of this campaign. Moving forward is not about one group of people or one section of society who have all the money, all the capital, and all the opportunity. It's about all of us. Because prosperity or unprecedented economic growth is useless if only a few of us get to enjoy it. I am glad that we have announced a working partnership with the People's Alliance Party a few days ago. Now the challenge is for all of us to put in the work, the commitment and the effort to ensure that the partnership works for the betterment of our people. Let me get back to vision. I believe that dealing with the challenges affecting our nation can be made better if we start focusing on two priorities: education and health. Let me say those two again: education and health. As I said in Parliament last week, free education does not mean quality education. We envision an education system that is focused on quality, transparency, partnership, and independence. For far too long, the state has taken its payment of school grants as a license to tell school management what to do. It has ridden roughshod over the many decades of tradition that our schools have developed, and thus has severed the community spirit on which many schools were built. But let me be perfectly clear. Governments can determine the structure of education, but they can't determine its soul. It's for parents to use their power to insist on the best. It's for teachers and heads to provide it. And it's for the ministry to be rigorous in monitoring the results. Asking too little of our children is just doing them an injustice. It's jeopardizing our national future. Government does not know everything, and it shouldn't. So too with education. Education is done best when we let the experts, the teachers, do their jobs without politicians in their big air-conditioned offices constantly interfering with the process of teaching and learning without consultation or consensus. We have seen some change in the school curriculum, but none of these have been in a manner that allows a smooth transition in the classroom. We need to prepare our children for a changing environment. New developments in technology allow us to be truly citizens of the world. And we need to ensure that our children are not only ready to compete in that brave new world, but to excel in it as well. We need civics and climate science to be staples in the education system, introduced in stages and with full consultation of those, who are going to implement it, the teachers. Proper civics education will ensure that our students learn from and understand our past while introductory lessons in climate science will help our children prepare for the future in a changing climate. As I said before in Parliament last week, a lot of us don't have enough money to go overseas when we need quality health care. I have heard too many times stories of families losing their loved ones to totally preventable diseases because they could not afford better health care. So what is wrong? Nurses and doctors can only do what they can with the resources that are available to them. This is not their fault. The fault lies solely at the feet of an indifferent administration that cares more about good public relations than it does about good service delivery. We need a total revamp of oversight in our health system. There needs to be someone watching if things are being done wrong, if the floors are not scrubbed, if the sheets are not changed, and of course, if the doors are not fixed. We need to know that there is enough medicine, if the mortuaries are in working order, and if there are enough beds for the sick. These are simple things, things that have been ignored for far too long, things that can be solved with good administration and proper oversight. And that is what we intend to implement, and with the partnership of health workers and health professionals. To conclude today, dear friends, let me leave a parting note on why it is so important to participate in elections, whether you want to be a candidate or a voter. It is because the choice in this election is not between two political parties or between two competing views of the world. It is between a new direction or more of the same. It is between agreement or arrogance. It is between freedom or fear. It is between inspiration or ignorance. The choice that we make will determine our future for generations to come. Make sure you make the right one. Onward together. God bless Fiji. Vinaka. It is my pleasure and honor now to invite up to the lectern the President of the National Federation Party, Honorable Tikoduadua.
Nisa Mbolvinaka, good afternoon and namaskaram. The leader of the People's Alliance Party, the Right Honorable Sitiveni Rabuka. Party leader of the National Federation Party, the Honorable Professor Biman Prasad. Vice President, Honorable Lenora Qereqeretabua. Members of the Management Board, branch executives, stalwarts, members, supporters, and well-wishers of the National Federation Party. I join our Vice President in welcoming all of you to what is more than likely to be a defining moment for the party as well as the future of our beloved nation. I am happy to see so many of you here today in your various capacities as members, supporters, and foot soldiers of the party. I see many familiar faces that we met during our visits and meetings throughout the country in the last 5 years. I also see many new faces for the first time. Many of them have applied to fight the elections under the party banner. Now, I have no doubt that the selection committee of the party will do the right things in terms of the criteria it sets out to ensure Team NFP for 2022 is a formidable team. To each one of you, my sincere appreciation for taking keen interest in your party. And we assure all of you that you will not be disappointed because you have made the wise decision and the right choice. Thank you, Valelevu and Danabat, for supporting the National Federation Party that will soon be 59 years old. The fact that we will be 59 years speaks for itself. It shows that we are an impregnable, principled fortress. We do not shirk our principles and values. We have always put national interest above personal and political advancement. We do not believe in doing things for political expediency or short-term gains. We are a party that puts the people first. NFP is not a party of people who believe that being in government entitles them to privileges and empowerment for self-gain. This is not a party of people who assume unlimited dictatorial powers or think they are the Messiah and look down upon the people of this country as subservient nobodies. This is not a party where people like wearing $10,000 suits, riding around in darkly tinted four-wheel drives, convoys, and being non-responsive to the plight of the common people. NFP is not a party of people who believe that the words of one man are more powerful than the opinions of the people of this nation and the plight of its needy. This is not a party where people believe that all power should rest in the hands of two men, thereby compromising governance, breeding arrogance, and ruling through fear and division. This is not a party of people who forget that the power is with the people of this beloved country. This is not a party of people who will treat government like their personal property. No, NFP is not a party of and a party for such peoples. NFP was born out of the need to empower the people of Fiji. NFP has existed to empower the people of Fiji in unity. And NFP will fight these elections to restore power to the people. It will be a party that forms a government that is of the people, for the people, and by the people. Because those who believe in self-interest instead of national interest, or my way or the highway kind of rule, have ruled over us and driven this country to the edge of a cliff. And the government in the last 15 years has lacked political morality and ethics, transparency and accountability, care and compassion for our people. Almost 40 months after the 2018 general elections, the actions of the two-man rule are clearly but painfully visible. It has resulted in a divided, demoralized, and a fractured nation. We all know that Fiji's problems, we all know what Fiji's problems are. This facade, I tell you, has to end. It must end. And we are working towards this goal. Many people have concerns about the election's outcome, given the Level 9 debacle in 2018. Now I can tell you this will not be repeated. We will not allow them to repeat this. Because it is up to us, the people of Fiji, to ensure the highest standards of electoral credibility is upheld. The only way to guarantee this is to vote in large numbers to boot out a regime and government that believes the people can be bought. They think that our people are gullible and will fall for freebies and succumb to fear-mongering. Now make no mistake, this is now a thing of the past. It will be a thing of the past. Right here, in this very hall, is the new government. Right here in this very hall is the new government to usher in a new and brighter dawn after the general elections that we are going to have. Ladies and gentlemen, soon you will hear from the leader of the People's Alliance Party, the Honorable Sitiveni Rabuka, and the NFP leader, the Honorable Professor Biman Prasad, on the vision of the two parties that the people of Fiji now know are working together pre-election to ensure a smooth transition to government post-elections. This will be a government that will uphold its moral and ethical duty to be kind, caring, and compassionate at all times. And this is what sets us apart from the misrule of the last 15 years. A good but painful example happened only last night. The current government's agency, Water Authority of Fiji, firstly, without notice, turned off the supply of clean and safe water, catching thousands of people completely unaware and without a drop of water for essentials, only to later post a statement on the West Facebook page as an afterthought. And the reason? Emergency valves replacement, which means West failed to monitor the operability status of the valves and woke up when it completely malfunctioned. And no kind and caring government would do this to any segment of its population. No kind and caring government would lie about the state of its totally dysfunctional facilities at its hospitals, forcing patients, their families, to fork out hard-earned money to undergo diagnostic tests at private facilities. Or if they can't afford, then accept their fate and pray for a miracle. No kind and caring government would go to great lengths to completely empty the pockets of our people through skyrocketing prices of basic food and essential items for 3 years, only to remove that in an election year as a cosmetic measure, because it doesn't go far enough to reduce cost of living in these difficult times. But ladies and gentlemen, the next government will put an end to this misery. We pledge to work for the people at all times, not the other way around, as is the case today. The NFP has absolute trust in the decency and goodwill of all our people. We have faith in our people, in the people of Fiji to do the right thing. We also trust their ability to differentiate truth from lies, vote-buying tactics from genuine help and policy support, not to be fooled by fear-mongering. The mere thought of failure doesn't even cross my mind. We firmly believe that all our people will once and for all deliver a crushing blow to politics of connivance, deceit, deviousness, and never see the emergence of dictatorship and self-centered leaders and politicians in the future. We all want a better day ahead. We all want to return Fiji to the way the world should be, a beacon of hope to the rest of the world. The common sense, decency, and honesty of our people from all walks of life and from different ethnic communities has been Fiji's greatest asset during these most difficult times. Our people are our unsung heroes. We hear their call. Their strength and never-say-die attitude has pushed us forward to ensuring they make their dreams a reality. This is our time. May God bless the NFP and may God bless Fiji. Thank you.
Valelevu Party President, Honorable Pio Tikoduadua. It is now my pleasure to invite up on stage our friend, Richard Naidu. Thank you, Richard.
Honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, I want to begin by saying thank you. Thank you to NFP for starting this event on time, because this is something our government can never do. The difference is clear already. But I want to say a more serious thank you. I want to say thank you to the 3 members of Parliament of NFP. I want to say thank you to the strong team that supports them, to the party and branch officials that fundraise for them, and who organize events like this and provide support in so many ways. Ordinary citizens like me are looking for decent, honest political leadership. We are tired of this government. We are tired of its false promises. We are tired of its fake likes on Facebook. We are tired of its boasting, its arrogance, its bullying, and its threats, and its indifference to people suffering, as we have seen over the last 2 years. You know, most of us read the papers, we watch the TV, we watch the social media, and we say of our politicians, this job is easy. If we were in Parliament, we could do much better than them. But what most of us do not see is the constant pressure and threats our opposition leaders deal with every day. Every decision these MPs make means thinking about what will happen to them. Which law will they be accused of breaking? Will the police come to arrest them in the middle of the night? The 3 MPs of this party have been repeatedly arrested. 1 has been attacked physically. All have been attacked verbally. 1 has been attacked on Facebook in the most disgraceful way. Even, finally, the police had to act. And I know the frustrations that these MPs face in Parliament when they try to raise questions about our roads, about our hospitals, about the way the government runs this country. Their questions are ruled out of order, their motions are denied for the silliest of legal reasons. The government does what it wants in Parliament. It brings laws to Parliament today and votes them into law tomorrow. In fact, it does not even bother to count the votes in Parliament anymore. It does not even bother, as I said, to turn up on time. And this disrespects the people, because all of those in Parliament, including the opposition MPs, they are representatives of the people. And in the last budget session, after the Attorney General and Minister of Finance turned up 1 hour late, it was Rofilipe Tuisawau who had to deliver to them a sharp rebuke. And this is what he said. He said, "We are not here by invitation. We are elected." But the MPs of this party, ladies and gentlemen, they have stuck to their job, regardless. They have ignored the attacks, they have ignored the threats, they have held their grounds. And the true test of a leader is not how well you can sit in your back of your ministerial car. It is not how well you can order around your civil servants. The true test of a leader is how you deal with adversity, how you stand up against the power of an abusive government. and how you stand strong and tall in the face of all these pressures. And as a citizen of this country, I would like the Honourable Prasad, Honourable Tikoduadua and Lenora, please stand up, because I would like to thank you for your leadership. I would like to thank you for all you do, for all the sacrifices that you have made. And now, I want to talk about a subject that sounds a bit boring. It seems far away from the cares and worries of our people, who must worry about rising prices, the health of their parents, and the education of their children. And it may seem far away from our bad roads and our empty taps and our worries about whether there will be another COVID wave and whether our work hours will again be cut. But I want to talk about it anyway, and the topic is good governance. Because without good governance, we cannot build a better country. We can rebuild roads, but they will fall apart again. We will never be able to afford a new water system. And without water in the taps, our economy cannot grow. Without good governance, our education system will never get better. And the education of our children and our young people, in fact, the education of all of us, is the key to our future prosperity. Our health system will not improve because we can build hospitals, but we cannot make them work. Ask the people of Ba. We can plan to build swimming pools, but we can never finish them. Ask the people of Lautoka. You know, many years ago, Ratu Joni Mandrawiwi, we remember him, the late Ratu Joni, our former, our much respected Vice President. He told me about a visit he had made to a small, far-away place in New Zealand, tucked away in the middle of nowhere. And he said to me, he was amazed how even there, the roads were perfectly sealed. And he said to me, this is good governance in action. And I knew straight away what he meant. He meant that there was a government that could not just promise, but it could also deliver. If in some faraway place in New Zealand, far away from the capital, there was a problem with the road, the people were heard, and their roads were rebuilt. And their roads were rebuilt quickly, and without fuss, and without politics, and without potholes. Because in a real democracy, good governance happens. Our parliament works as it should. Our political leaders work together in cooperation for all of our people. The government does not ignore and belittle the opposition. The government does not shut them out. You know, our parliamentary process, every law is passed under Standing Order 51 under urgency. The parliamentary process is meant to be slow. That's why we have first readings and second readings and third readings of our parliamentary bills. We are supposed to send our laws to select committees who can travel around the country and listen to the people and what they think and report back. And while they travel around the country, the people in those select committees, from the government, from the opposition, they build personal relationships. They look for ways to work together. So an opposition parliamentarian may say to the government MP, we need to improve the health services in Valelevu. And the government MP will say, let's go and talk to the minister about it. This is how we solve problems. Our government has a civil service made up of many skilled and experienced people. They are supposed to be independent. They are supposed to say to the politicians, Minister, you are wrong, or Minister, that is not a smart way to do things. But our civil servants know what will happen if they try to say this. They know they will be sent home. We need the courts to act as the independent referee when the government abuses its power and behaves wrongly. Yet so many of our laws are written in a way which says to the courts, you cannot interfere. We, the government, will decide, and you cannot interfere. In a real democracy, good governance means that we all work together. The government does not pretend it is smarter than everyone else. It brings together all of our talented people, friend or enemy, friend or foe. It brings together all the people who have a passion for improving the lives of others. I'm thinking about the workers in that powerful Western social service organization, Friend, of which I am part. I think about the volunteers at the Cancer Society, at the Red Cross, the school teachers who coach rugby on Saturdays, the people who support the prison fellowships. I'm thinking about the business leaders who support community projects and the unions. I'm thinking about the councillors we used to have in our towns and cities. I'm thinking about the communities who get together, they fundraise, they build bus shelters and footbridges, and they support the children in their rural boarding schools. These are the people I'm thinking about. We need these people to be heard. We need the government to listen to them and to learn about how things can be done better. Because in a democracy, the government listens patiently to criticism from the people, even if the people are sometimes wrong. Because the government know they are the people's servants. The government does not say to them, "You are being political." The government brings people together to solve our problems. And my friends, this is the difference between the government we have now and the government we must have in the future. And here is the most important thing. Good governance costs nothing. It costs nothing to listen to other people. Listening and consulting others costs nothing. It does not cost billions of dollars. It does not mean we have to go into more debt. Good governance is about the attitude of the people in power and the generosity of their spirit. Good governance is about having a government that is not afraid to be criticized, which is not afraid to be told it is wrong. Good governance is about having a government that does not pick fights with USP just because it cannot win an argument, then throws out the Vice-Chancellor and stops paying millions, tens of millions of dollars that is needed to educate Fiji's own young people. And this is the first thing we, the ordinary citizens of Fiji, need to change with our votes. This is the first thing that our new government must be able to do. And one more thing. The new government must even make a place for the old government. It must be prepared to work with them and respect them as the opposition, even if, while that old government was in power, they did not do it. The new government must show that generosity of spirit. It must be different. We must have a government that is prepared to listen, to bring us all together, to make all of our lives better. And on behalf of all of us, the people of Fiji, this is what I ask that NFP and PAP pledge to do. Because good governance, bringing us all together, this is the most important thing to do. This is the most important aspect of leadership. Only then, only when we are all together and working together, only then can we begin to deal with the challenging future that all of us face in Fiji. So finally, I would like to thank you for listening to me. Thank you for coming to this meeting. And thank you for showing us that you care about the future of this country. Thank you again.
Valelevu Richard, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor and my pleasure to invite up on stage the leader of the People's Alliance Party, former Prime Minister, former leader of the opposition, Mr. Sitiveni Rabuka.
What more can you say after all those? Valelevu. Good morning. Nisambulunak. If I had known that I was speaking in this order of the program, I might have found an excuse not to make it here. I congratulate all those great speakers who have been up on this podium to tell us all what we all know needs to be done. We need to change the direction that we're going in. We are, I'm not going to use the military term for it, we are in a crisis. But I'm honored to be here this morning. I'm glad I invited the leader of the National Federation Party and the president to come and be at ours on Thursday. I must apologize for not giving them the opportunity to address us. Now they've gone one step up to ask me to speak. I owe that to them, and I will make sure they say a lot next time we meet. I'd like to make just a few very brief remarks. And I acknowledge the presence in the crowd of some very old friends, not in number of years, but in our experiences. Some held my hand when I was a young politician, and I'm still here. Some pointed into my face as a young politician, and they are still here. Welcome, Chris. I welcome a very senior old boy who held a position I never held at school, senior or captain of the first 15, Mr. Qereqeretabua. Father of your party vice president, Nisambulunak. You will have read by now that the party I represent, which is People's Alliance, let me remind your president, People's Alliance, I want to avoid calling my party People's Alliance Party because that leads to some ridicule. We've been ridiculed because of PAP. Some are calling us puppy. You will have read that the party I represent at our meeting on Thursday gave some very warm welcome and announcements, which most of us know anyway, that we have been and we will continue to work. Hey Raj, Bula. I've got a friend back there. He's part of my party, not yours. We have been working very closely with the National Federation Party. And I promise that we will continue. In Fiji, we will see that we will continue to work together to achieve some of those points that have been raised by those great speakers who were on this podium before me. We were blessed on that day to have had your party leader and your president. I highlighted then some of my working relationships and friendship with the National Federation Party since I became Prime Minister. Changed some of those who were almost sworn enemies from 5 years before. We worked together very well in 1992 to 1999. But at the address on Thursday, I missed out two very important events. In my relationship, in my walk with the leaders of the National Federation Party. And I want to bring out only two this morning. First, and this first one led to the second. When I was asked by the then leader of the National Federation Party, Mr. Jairam Reddy, if he could come to address the Great Council of Chiefs, I said I was going to ask you the same. I asked him to go and address the Great Council of Chiefs before we took the amending bill for the Constitution to Parliament. We had heard then that 8 out of the 14 provinces did not like the amendments recommended. So I asked him to come to the Great Council of Chiefs and hold my hand as I tried to promote the amendments to the Great Council of Chiefs. He came to the Great Council of Chiefs and he was very warmly welcomed. And most of the old or more senior members of the National Federation Party here today will remember his words on that day. Some of the chiefs still remember. And they remember even if they are drinking homebrew under the mango tree. The Great Council of Chiefs were treated as chiefs by Mr. Jairam Reddy. He said when he spoke to them, "You are not chiefs of the Tauke people only. You are our chiefs. You are chiefs over all who live in Fiji and call this their land, their home." That, I believe, was a turning point in their thinking and gave me their support to go ahead and table the amending bill for the 1990 Constitution, which became known commonly as the 1997 Constitution. And as we speak today, I know that Mr. Reddy lives on in Auckland, and we send our respects to him and his family. After the enactment and assent to the bill in 1997, and the ceremony I invited Mr. Reddy to accompany me to the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Edinburgh, Scotland. At the meeting, when it was Fiji's turn to give our national report, instead of the Prime Minister addressing CHOGM, I asked the Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Jairam Reddy, to address. And a lot of people do not realize the impact of that speech from a victim to a victor, to a victim of 87, to a victor of the promoters of the 1997 Constitution that we enacted the year before. I was accompanied, or we were accompanied by the late Senator Andi Litia Rakumbau, who was very much against some of the recommended changes to the Constitution. She sat next to Mr. Jairam Reddy all the way, the long flight between here and America and London. And I don't know who converted who, but they became very great friends after that. You know that Constitution got us back into the Commonwealth, and we have been, I think we have not been kicked out again. We're still in the Commonwealth. I want you to know that our continuing cooperation is no political expediency effort, but a journey of mutual respect and our mutual care for Fiji and all its people. I want to just make a few more points before I leave. This understanding is a signal to the nation about the importance the People's Alliance and the National Federation Party attach to working closely together to rescue Fiji from the mess that is it in. Our approach is to involve as many people and organizations as possible in a great campaign for change. The change depends on all of us voting out the government that has brought us this low point, in fact, the nadir in our history as a nation. I reiterate that I am not a stranger to the National Federation Party. I have worked with your party leadership previously and successfully on issues of crucial importance to the nation. With those brief comments, I once more wish you all the very best in your deliberations today. God bless the National Federation Party. God bless Fiji. Thank you very much.
Valelevu, Mr. Sitiveni Rabuka. Thank you, sir. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to invite our party leader, the Honorable Professor Biman Prasad, to come to the podium. Naka.
Good afternoon, everyone. Bula. The leader of the People's Alliance Party, Mr. Sitiveni Rabuka. Our own NFP President, Honorable Tikoduadua. The Chair of the Convention Committee and our party Vice President, Honorable Lenora Qereqeretabua, our General Secretary, Ms. Seni, Nabou, members of the Management Board, branch executives, party stalwarts, and many of them are here today, party elders, members, media, ladies and gentlemen, and especially our young people. We could not be gathered here this afternoon at a more auspicious time. This evening, Hindus start observing 9 days of prayers for Ram Navami, the birth of Lord Ram, who taught us above everything else about self-dignity and respect, and how truth prevails over evil. It was the evil Ravan who was defeated. Truth, justice, righteousness prevailed. Our Muslim brothers and sisters will now begin observing the holy month of Ramadan, the most important event in the Islamic religious calendar. It is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, culminating in Eid ul-Fitr, a significant event. Next Sunday is Palm Sunday. During this most important Christian religious occasion of Lent that leads to Easter. It is the start of the Holy Week, and less than 2 weeks from now is Easter, when the Lord Jesus Christ was crucified but returned to life. So the launch of our campaign, ladies and gentlemen, today to bring back equality, dignity, and justice to Fiji's people comes at a special, sacred, and at a divine moment. We feel the winds of divine intercession in our sails, propelling us forward to be in government. And we in the NFP will be in government. Let me tell you, we in the NFP will be in government. We proclaim that today, here and now. 15 years after Frank Bainimarama seized power from a democratic government, we will begin the work for a better future. Because right now, our whole country is trapped into the personal glory of two tired men, Frank Bainimarama and Ayaz Sayed Qayyum. Because of these two men, ladies and gentlemen, we have a crushed economy and growing poverty. Perhaps half of our people can no longer make ends meet. We know this because we feel it in our pockets. We know this because our family and our friends are struggling. We know this because all of us, at some time or another, have reached into our own pockets to help them. Because of these two men, our medical and health services are collapsing. And Honorable Qereqeretabua mentioned that very well. Those two men have been getting the best medical treatment overseas. But our own people cannot get basic drugs or services from the broken down machines of our hospitals. And both our President and Honorable Qereqeretabua talked about it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's never forget the COVID pandemic and how hard it hit our country. And let us never forget that when the crisis was at its height, when hundreds died and our health system had collapsed, these two men were nowhere to be seen. They did nothing, and they said nothing. They let Dr. Fong, a good Dr. Fong, take the heat. They could not face the people and show leadership when it was needed. And now they actually strut around as if 2 years ago nothing happened. Because of these two men, there is no water in our taps. Naidu talked about it as well. But plenty of water in our pothole-filled roads. Ladies and gentlemen, the question we have to ask is, how has this come to this? I said in Parliament last week that in the last 15 years, Frank Bainimarama and Ayaz Sayed Qayyum, as leaders of government, have spent $50 billion of our money. I say it again, $50 billion. And I also said in Parliament, just between 2015 and 2020, in 6 years, on average, we feel that $500 million per year has been stolen from the taxpayers through pilferage, corruption, mismanagement. Imagine, ladies and gentlemen, what that money would have done to the lives of ordinary citizens in this country. And yet, the Fiji government, our government, is more deeply in debt than ever before. There is corruption, there is mismanagement, as I said, wastage, pilferage, and abuse of taxpayers' funds. Parliament, as pointed out by Mr. Richard Naidu, has become a rubber stamp for the Fiji First Party. They talk about true democracy. They go around the world and talk about true democracy in Fiji. We are not even allowed to count the votes. And I want to repeat what Richard said. The people's questions are denied. We have filed so many motions on so many important issues affecting you, ladies and gentlemen, which have been denied in Parliament. Our education system is paralyzed. Our sugar industry is in a state of collapse. And I say that it is time for this man-made disaster made by the two men, to end. We desperately need a new beginning, and we in the National Federation Party, with our friends in the People's Alliance, I would skip the word party, we want to bring Fiji's people that new beginning. Let us, ladies and gentlemen, face some hard facts, and let us not hide from them. Mr. Rabuka doesn't hide from them. In 1987, Mr. Rabuka led a military coup against an elected government. It was a difficult and challenging time. Mr. Rabuka became Prime Minister under a constitution that many of us at that time opposed it as racially divisive. And it is these facts, and I want to remind you, and it is these facts that the Fiji First Party will, and their supporters, and their fakers in the coming ones would want to talk about, conveniently forgetting the coups of 2000 and 2006 and the actions of their own leader. But Mr. Rabuka's record does not stop in 1987, ladies and gentlemen. We must remember what followed. It was Mr. Rabuka who extended the hand of friendship to the leader of the National Federation Party at that time, the statesman and international judge, Mr. Jairam Reddy. It was Mr. Rabuka who extended that hand of friendship. It was Mr. Rabuka who said, let's work together. And at that time, Mr. Reddy was the leader of the opposition. The NFP was the main opposition party. It attacked Mr. Rabuka's government at every turn as an opposition. Mr. Rabuka was undeterred. He did not take it personally. He knew the opposition was doing its job. He knew the opposition's role was important. He understood it very well as Prime Minister. Can you imagine, ladies and gentlemen, today, Frank Bainimarama or Ayaz Sayed Qayyum, it was because of Mr. Rabuka's initiative that Mr. Reddy became the first Indo-Fijian leader to address the Great Council of Chiefs, as Mr. Rabuka pointed out. And that was a defining moment in Fiji's history. It was Mr. Rabuka's government, some would want us to forget that, it was Mr. Rabuka's government which appointed Sir Paul Reeves, Mr. Tomasi Bakatora, Professor Bridge Lal, to work with the people, ask their views, and produce a constitution. This was the 1997 constitution, passed unanimously by Parliament in an unprecedented act of political unity. It was Mr. Rabuka, together with NFP, who paid the ultimate political price for his generous act when he lost the 1999 general election. And I remember what he famously said at that time, He said, although he had lost the election, that constitution was worth it. This is the constitution, the 1997 constitution, ladies and gentlemen, that Frank Bainimarama overthrew. He replaced it with his own distorted document, the 2013 constitution, and on this constitution he consulted no one, he put it before no one, and certainly not before Parliament. No one voted for it as well. Frank Bainimarama has had 15 years in power, 15 years. And for what will we remember his government? Its small-mindedness, its vindictiveness, its paranoia, its bullying, and its threats. Let me, ladies and gentlemen, take you back for a moment 23 years ago to 1999, when just before the elections in that year, Mr. Reddy told us all, and I fought that election in 1999. And this is what he said, and I want to quote. "We face the most momentous elections in our history. The choices we make and the steps we take individually and collectively will determine the kind of society we bequeath to the next generation," unquote. Mr. Rabuka and the National Federation Party lost that election in 1999. And where did that lead us today? To 15 years of Fiji First Party rule. We made a mistake all those years ago. And we cannot afford, ladies and gentlemen, to do this again. The choices of which Mr. Reddy spoke are before us once again. Do we still want the toxic politics of the Fiji First Party? A government that has destroyed good governance, consultation, cooperation, unity. A government that has continuously divided us, refuses to listen to anyone, which threatens and bullies us and everybody else. Can Fiji continue this way? Can Fiji continue this way? Thank you. Or do we choose and embrace a culture of cooperation, conciliation, partisanship, and working together? In the dictionary of Frank Bainimarama and Ayaz Kayum, there is no word such as bipartisanship. Do we choose a government committed to achieving lasting social and economic and political advancement? It is our parties in partnership we have chosen and embraced this path. And this is the way. This is the time, ladies and gentlemen, to reject divisiveness, deceit, and fear-mongering. Just on Thursday, as mentioned by Mr. Rabuka, Honorable President and I attended the first People's Alliance Convention of the People Alliance, not party. You have heard that we've been working with the People's Alliance on a partnership agreement. Mr. Rabuka and I have had many conversations about the aspirations of our country. And we share the vision for Fiji, and which is the same. We share the same vision. Our parties will both contest the election with our own platforms and our own candidates, because under this electoral law, under 2013 Constitution, you can't form a coalition before the election. And we will each fight for every one of our people's votes. But we will fight this election together. We will fight this election together. And we will win this election together. And we will govern together. We will bring to the country a team of talented and smart skilled, experienced people, ready-made for government, and some of them are in this crowd today. But ladies and gentlemen, that will not be the most important thing about them. The most important thing will be their willingness to listen to others, to bring together and share their ideas, to be humble and compassionate. The power in our country is in our people, and bringing them together is to harness our country's power. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, the most urgent job of the next government. We want a free, stable, and democratic Fiji where we all have a chance to earn a decent living. To pursue our cultural, linguistic, and our spiritual life. We want a country where people speak up boldly for their rights and for the rights of others, working together to help those in immediate need. We want a country of clever, educated, adaptive people who can compete, hold their heads high in the world and be proud of where they come from. We have worked together before and we will do it again. Over the next few months, ladies and gentlemen, we will begin to articulate our vision, our shared vision for Fiji, a vision for free and quality education, decent public health and medical care, a vision for incomes which can respond to the rising cost of living, a sustainable environment, a vibrant agricultural sector, sound investment in infrastructure like water and roads, but above all, a compassionate government fulfilling its democratic obligations to the people of this country. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, all that is left for me to say is, this is our time. This is our time. And may God bless NFP and may God bless Fiji. Thank you.
Valelevu Party Leader, Honourable Professor Biman Prasad. Ladies and gentlemen, our final speaker this afternoon is the National Federation Party's General Secretary, Ms. Seni Nabou.
Thank you very much, Honourable Lenora and Qereqeretabua. And now it is my very profound honour to offer the National Federation Party's heartfelt thanks. We extend to you our sincere gratitude, respected leader of the People's Alliance, with, of course, Mr. Raivode, Valelevu. We also extend to you, all of you, our party elders, our stalwarts, our branches, and our members, and most importantly, our hard-working youths who have been sweating it out to prepare for us today. Thank you. Now, we have heard so many inspiring words. It is up to us now to make those words and give them life. The path before us will not be easy, but the leader of the National Federation Party and the People's Alliance have set the course. Our previous leaders triumphed over so much more. We can too, we will, we must. So let's get to work. God bless NFP, God bless Fiji, and God bless you all. Biman.
Ladies and gentlemen, when Richard came up to come and speak, he said he was pleasantly surprised that we began on time. I'm very pleasantly surprised that we're ending on time as well, because we did say a 3:30 end. Things are changing, Richard, things are changing. Valelevu Seni. Thank you very much, leader. Thank you very much, Mr. Rabuka. Thank you, President, for your words today. Thank you, Richard. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings to an end the annual National Federation Party Convention. Again, Valelevu for traveling from Taveuni, for traveling from Lambasa, for traveling from around Valelevu. Wherever you have traveled from, I want to say Valelevu. It is so lovely. I wish all of you could come here and look at this beautiful hall and the diversity within this hall. Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to say that party leaders will stay with us for a little while. I know that there is a lot that you would like to say to them, a lot that you would like to encourage them with. So ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you very much. In particular also to those of you who are here who have applied to be candidates in the next election, Valelevu, for your interest. Thank you for coming. Vinaka, and God bless you. Vinaka.